Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Allahumma inna nas'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. Allahumma faqihna fi ad-din wa 'allimna at-ta'wil ya rabbal alamin. قال المصنف رحمه الله باب زكاة الأثمان. Alhamdulillah, we're continuing on Umdatu Al-Fiqh. We are on the chapter of Zakat of currencies. The author rahimahullah, he says, chapter of Zakat on currencies. وهي نوعان ذهب وفضة ولا زكاة في الفضة حتى تبلغ 200 درهم فيجب فيها 5 دراهم ولا في الذهب حتى يبلغ 20 مثقالا فيجب فيه نصف مثقال. The author rahimahullah, he says that there are two kinds of currencies. Number one is dhahab or gold, and the second is silver. And he says that there is no zakah until it reaches 200 dirhams, until silver reaches 200 dirhams. 200 dirhams is approximately 595 grams of pure silver. And its zakah is 5 dirhams, which is equivalent to 2.5%. And there is no zakah on gold until it reaches 20 mithqal, which is approximately 85 grams of pure gold, and its zakah is half a mithqal, which is 2.5%. So zakah, which was ordained upon us, is on gold and silver. And in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the currencies that were used were two types, and that was gold and silver. They had gold coins, actual coins made out of gold, and they had silver coins, actual coins made out of silver. And the gold coins are called the silver coins are called dirhams, and the gold coins are called dinars. And the nisab, or the minimum threshold for zakat, will be based on gold or silver. And for gold, the minimum threshold, so if you have over 85 grams of pure gold, then you would have to pay zakat on that. Then you would have to pay zakat on your wealth. And when we convert 85 grams of pure gold, it comes up to approximately 7,900 Canadian dollars. 7,900 Canadian dollars on today's date. On today's date. Now, if a person does not have gold and if he has silver, then he needs to use the silver calculation of the nisab. And if he has over 595 grams of silver, then he would have to pay zakat on his wealth. Now, if we were to calculate 595 grams of silver, it would be approximately about $600 Canadian at this time. Give and take a little bit more. Now, there is a big difference between gold and silver when we convert them to cash for the nisab, right? So how do we calculate the nisab in terms of cash? If a person has cash, what nisab does he use? Does he use gold or does he use silver? So first of all, is there zakat on cash, right? On the paper currency that we have today, whether we have it in our bank or we have cryptocurrencies such as bitcoins or other type of coins, or we have cash in the bank, or we have other types of like stocks or bonds or shares in companies, etc. Do we have to pay zakat on these things? And the answer is yes, we have to pay zakat as long as the value of it reaches the nisab. Now, which nisab do we use? The nisab of silver or the nisab of gold? Do we use silver or gold? And the majority of the fuqaha have said that what we use is we use whichever two of them is the least amount, so that it would be better for the fuqara. So it would be better for the poor people, so that they would get more zakat, right? They would get more zakat. There will be more people giving zakat if we use a lesser amount. So in our case right now, since silver is so much more less, then we would use the nisab for silver, which is approximately $600. And if a person has over this much, then and he kept it for 1 year, for one hawl, then he would have to pay zakat on his savings or on his wealth and all of his investments that he has had for over 1 year. Allah rahimahullah, he goes on to say, فَإِنْ كَانَ فِيهِمَا غِشٌّ فَلَا زَكَاةَ فِيهِمَا حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ قَدْرُ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ نِصَابًا فَإِنْ شَكَّ فِي ذَلِكَ خُيِّرَ بَيْنَ الْإِخْرَاجِ وَبَيْنَ سَبْكِهِمَا لِيَعْلَمَ قَدْرَ ذَلِكَ. So he says, rahimahullah, if the silver or gold is impure, there is no zakat until the weight of the pure amount of gold or silver reaches the nisab. If there is any doubt in its purity, there are two options: either to pay the zakat or to first purify it by casting it in order to determine its actual amount. So we go back to the nisab of dhahab and fidda, the nisab of gold and silver. If you have 85 grams of pure gold, then zakat will be due, right? We said this. How about if you have 85 grams of gold, but it is 18 karat gold or 14 karat gold, right? 14 karat, 18 karat, anything below 24 karat gold is not pure gold. Pure gold is 24 carats. So if you have 85 grams, but it's not pure gold, it's 18 karat or 14 karat or something less, under 24 karat, then zakat will not be wajib upon you. Zakat is not wajib upon you. It has to, the amount has to reach the nisab of the gold in pure gold. So 85 grams of pure gold, right? 85 grams of pure gold. And the way to calculate the amount of nisab, if you want to calculate it for yourself on a daily basis or when you are ready to pay your zakat, is you can go on the internet and you find out what the price of 1 gram of gold is, and you multiply that by 85 grams, and then you find that is the nisab for gold. For silver, you go on the internet, you find out what the price of 1 gram of silver is, and you multiply that by 595, and you will find the nisab for silver. So author rahimahullah, he goes on and he says that if there is any doubt in its purity, there are two options. So if you have some gold, you're not sure is it pure gold or it's not pure gold, but it reaches 85 grams. You have two options. Either you pay the zakat ihtiyatan, as a precautionary method, you pay it, right? Or the second is to refine it and cast it and determine the purity of that gold, and then you'll know if you need to pay zakat or not. And the author rahimahullah, he goes on to say, وَلَا زَكَاةَ فِي الْحُلِيِّ الْمُبَاحِ المعدي للاستعمال والعارية. Now the author is talking about the zakat on jewelry. Is zakat mandatory on jewelry that we wear, such as bangles, bracelets, necklaces that women wear, etc.? Is zakat wajib upon that or not? This is gold, right? But it's jewelry that we wear. So is zakat mandatory or not? He says that there is no zakat on jewelry that is prepared for personal use, so jewelry that you wear for personal use, or for lending. So in the time of in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and in those times, people were not very wealthy, and in those times, everyone did not have their own jewelry set. What they would have, there would usually be one person in the village that would own a nice fancy set of jewelry. And then everyone in the village, when they were getting married, or when they're going to a party, or when they need to use it for some sort of occasion, they would borrow it from that person, and they would use it for those special occasions, such as getting married, etc. Right? So if you own that jewelry, and the intent for it is to lend out to people when they're getting married or when they need to use it, then there is no zakat on that jewelry. Also, if you own jewelry and you use it yourself, so it is your own personal jewelry that you wear on a daily basis, or you wear you wear very often, then there is no zakat for that jewelry. And then he says, وَيُبَاحُ لِلنِّسَاء كُلْ مَا جَرَتْ عَادَتُهُنَّ بلبسه من الذهب والفضة ويباح للرجال من الفضة الخاتم والحلية السيف والمنطقة ونحوها فأما المعد للكراء والادخار أو المحرم ففيه الزكاة. Then he says, rahimahullah, he says that all kinds of gold and silver are permissible for women to wear as long as it is customary by the women of your time. So he says, وَيُبَاحُ لِلنِّسَاء كُلْ مَا جَرَتْ عَادَتُهُنَّ بِلُبْسِهِ مِنَ الذَّهَبِ. So anything that is customary for women to wear, it is permissible for them to wear in terms of gold and silver. And then he says, وَيُبَاحُ لِلرِّجَالِ, and it is permissible for men to wear from silver. And then he lists some items. He says rings, ornamentation of the swords, belts, and the likes of these types of things. So rings, it is permissible for men to wear silver rings. It is permissible for men to have silver ornaments on their swords. So on their swords, sometimes there would be a silver part, which is an ornament or a design on their sword. And also on their belts. You know, when you wear a belt, there's usually in the middle, there's a metal part, right? And in those times, it would be made of silver. So it is permissible for men to have a silver silver belt. And وَنَحْوُهَا, and the likes of that. And so anything that is similar to those things, it is permissible for men to wear in silver. And then he says, فَأَمَّا الْمُعَدُّ لِلْكَرَاء وَالْإِدِّخَارِ أَوْ الْمُحَرَّمُ فَفِيهِ زَكَاةٌ. So then he says, rahimahullah, there is zakat on gold and silver which is prepared for renting and which is prepared for saving, and that which is as well as on the prohibited kinds. So if we remember at the beginning, the author rahimahullah, he says, وَلَا زَكَاةَ فِي الْحُلِيِّ الْمُبَاحِ. There is no zakah on jewelry which is mubah, which is permissible to use. So any type of jewelry which is permissible for you to use, either a man or a woman. So if a man is wearing a ring, or he has some sort of jewelry like a belt which has some silver on it, he does not have to pay zakat on that. However, he says, as for that which is haram, so if a man has gold jewelry, and he's wearing gold jewelry, and it's haram, of course, for men to wear gold jewelry, then he has to pay zakat for that. Right? He has to pay zakat on that. So anything which is used in a haram way, then he has to pay zakat for that. That is, that is not used, that is not allowed for him to be personally. It's not for personal use, or it does not come under the category of personal use. It is also wajib to pay zakat on the gold or silver which is prepared for renting. So as we said before, that normally, there would be one person in the village that has, all the jewelry, all the fancy jewelry, and they would give it out. If they are renting it out and not giving it out as lending for free, but if they are renting this jewelry out for others to borrow to use on their special occasions, then they have to pay zakat on the jewelry. Also, if it is used for iddikhar, if you have this jewelry and you're using it to save, right? Because we all know that gold and silver, they are the standards of currencies, right? So people use gold, they put their money in gold and silver so that if something happens to the economy, and if, for example, maybe one day they don't have money, they can sell their gold or their silver and they can use it. So if they're if the intent for having that gold or silver is to save that money, right, then you have to pay zakat on that. As well as if it is used for anything prohibited. So as we said, if a man is using the gold, or if he has any type of jewelry, gold jewelry, then he has to pay zakat for that. Also, if a man or a woman has gold or silver utensils, we mentioned before that gold or silver utensils are not permissible. So if you have gold or silver utensils, then you must pay zakat on that. And we'll end off here, inshallah. Next week we will, or the next class, we will talk about the chapter on the rulings of zakat of debt. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.